Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Achiefly Audiobooks. I'm really glad you're here because today's video is something truly special. Something that goes far beyond motivation and reaches into the heart of how we live our lives. Some moments in life hit you like a sudden storm, unexpected, overwhelming, and impossible to ignore. One day, everything feels normal. And the next, you find yourself questioning everything. Your direction, your choices, your purpose, even your strength. It's as if the world shifts beneath your feet, leaving you searching for something solid to hold on to, something that can guide you through the uncertainty. Imagine this. You wake up one morning, and your entire life suddenly feels heavier. The world looks unclear, like someone has dimmed the light around you. You feel lost, unprepared, unsure of what steps to take next. Then, someone hands you a simple map. Not a perfect map, not a guarantee of success, but a guide printed with 12 rules, 12 ideas, 12 simple but powerful truths about how to stand tall, how to face chaos, and how to build a meaningful life brick by brick. That map is 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. This book is not just about psychology. It is about life itself, why we suffer, how we grow, and how we transform confusion into clarity. And today, we're going to take a deep dive into each rule, one by one, and explore how they can help you build a more courageous, disciplined, and purposeful version of yourself. So sit back, relax, and let this journey unfold. Rule 1. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Life is full of invisible hierarchies, at work, in society, in friendships, and even within your own thoughts. These hierarchies shape how people treat you, how opportunities appear, and how you feel about yourself. And although we often think confidence begins in the mind, Jordan Peterson reminds us that it actually begins in the body. Your posture is not just a physical position. It is a message you broadcast to the world and to your own nervous system. When you stand tall, back straight, chin up, shoulders back, you are quietly telling life, I am here. I am capable. I am ready to take responsibility. It is a simple action, but its psychological impact is profound. Peterson uses the example of lobsters to illustrate this point. Lobsters, just like humans, live in structured dominance hierarchies. When a lobster wins a fight, its body produces more serotonin, the chemical linked to confidence, stability, and control. This makes the lobster more likely to win future battles. But when it loses, serotonin levels drop, its posture collapses, and its chances of losing again increase. This cycle becomes a loop. Victory builds confidence, and confidence builds victory. Loss breeds more loss. Although humans are far more complex, the basic biological pattern remains surprisingly similar. When you slouch, avoid eye contact, and shrink yourself, your brain interprets your posture as a signal of defeat. But when you straighten your spine and hold yourself with strength, your brain responds by boosting chemicals that increase confidence, focus, and resilience. And here is the motivational truth buried inside this rule. Sometimes you must act like the person you want to become, before you actually feel like that person. You don't wait for courage to appear before standing tall. You stand tall first, and courage slowly follows. You don't wait to feel confident before speaking clearly. You speak clearly, and your confidence begins to grow. This is not pretending. It is practicing. It is training your mind and body to step into the identity you want to build. Standing up straight with your shoulders back is not about arrogance or trying to dominate others. It's about accepting the weight of your own life. It's about understanding that your existence has value, that your actions matter, and that you are capable of carrying responsibility. When you choose this posture, you tell the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you are willing to face life with strength instead of fear. It's a small physical action, but it opens the door to a powerful psychological transformation. Rule 2. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. We all know how to care for others. When someone we love is sick, we help them rest. When they are sad, we comfort them. When they make a mistake, we encourage them to keep going instead of giving up. Yet, strangely, when it comes to caring for ourselves, the kindness disappears. Most people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to a friend. They criticize themselves harshly, punish themselves for every failure, and ignore their own needs until exhaustion hits. Why does this happen? Because deep inside, many people quietly believe they are unworthy of care. They feel guilty for prioritizing themselves, or they secretly think they don't deserve love, support, or forgiveness. But here is the truth Jordan Peterson wants us to remember. You are responsible for a human life, your own. And that life matters just as much as anyone else's. Imagine this for a moment. What if you treated yourself with the same patience, compassion, and encouragement you naturally give to others? What if you spoke to yourself not with criticism, but with understanding? Think about how differently your life would unfold. Instead of tearing yourself down for every mistake, you would guide yourself through challenges. Instead of abandoning your goals because you feel unworthy, you would protect your dreams the way you protect the dreams of the people you love. Instead of neglecting your physical, emotional, and mental well-being, you would take responsibility for it. You would eat better, sleep better, set healthier boundaries, and make decisions that support your future, not sabotage it. You are not just a background character in life. You are the main character in your own story. And just like you would never allow someone you love to suffer needlessly or make destructive choices, you must hold yourself to the same standard. Caring for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. When you take responsibility for your own growth, your own healing, and your own happiness, you become stronger, and that strength also helps the people around you. So treat yourself as someone valuable. Treat yourself as someone worth protecting. Treat yourself as someone whose life is meaningful. Because you are valuable. You are worth protecting. And your life does matter. The moment you start caring for yourself with the same devotion you give to others, everything changes. The way you think, the way you act, and the future you build. Rule 3. Make friends with people who want the best for you. Your environment is one of the most powerful forces shaping your life. And at the heart of that environment are the people you choose to keep close. Friends influence everything. Your habits, your mindset, your goals, your confidence, and even your idea of what is possible. Whether you realize it or not, the people around you are constantly pulling you in one direction or another. If you surround yourself with individuals who want you to stay small, who fear your growth, or who only support you as long as you don't outgrow them, then your life will slowly shrink to match their expectations. But if your circle is filled with people who dream boldly, who push themselves forward, and who genuinely want to see you succeed. Then their strength, ambition, and belief in you becomes part of your own environment, and eventually, part of your own identity. Here's a hard truth that many people don't want to face. Not everyone wants to see you win. Some people feel threatened when others grow. Some feel insecure when they watch someone else climb higher. Some hide jealousy behind fake encouragement. And others sabotage your progress because your success reminds them of their own stagnation. These people may smile at you, laugh with you, or call themselves your friends, but their energy quietly drains your confidence and weakens your drive. Holding on to friendships like that is like carrying weights tied to your ankles while trying to run forward. You'll move, but slowly, painfully, and never as far as you could. True friends are different. A true friend is someone who celebrates your victories, not secretly resents them. Someone who pushes you toward your potential instead of pulling you away from it. Someone who tells you the truth, not what you want to hear. Someone who challenges you to be better, but never tries to make you feel small. These rare people inspire you. They make you braver. They help you grow not by force, but by example. Your time, energy, and future are precious. Guard them carefully. You don't need a large circle. You need the right circle. Choose people who lift you higher, who encourage your dreams, who believe in your abilities, and who walk with you, not against you. And when you find those people, appreciate them. Because the right friends don't just change your mood, they change your life. Rule 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Comparison is one of the most silent and destructive habits of modern life, and in the age of social media, it has become almost impossible to escape. Everywhere you look, someone seems to be doing better than you. Someone has a nicer life, a better body, a bigger house, a more successful career, or a happier relationship. But what you don't see are their struggles, their fears, their failures, or the years of effort that came before the highlight moments they share online. By comparing yourself to their carefully curated success, you create a false story in your mind, one that tells you that you're not enough, that you're falling behind, that you're failing. But this story is not only untrue, it is dangerous. It kills motivation. It destroys self-belief. It blinds you from seeing your own progress. Jordan Peterson teaches a much healthier and more empowering way to measure your growth. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Not last year, not 10 years ago, and certainly not against someone else's life. Ask yourself, did I improve today? Did I learn something new? Did I make a better choice than before? Did I handle a situation with more patience, courage, or honesty than the previous version of me? These small improvements are the real markers of progress. They may not look impressive to others, but they are the foundation of real transformation. If yesterday you avoided challenges, but today you faced one, even a small one, that is growth. If yesterday you doubted yourself, but today you took one step forward despite the doubt, that is victory. Progress is not a race against anyone else. It is a personal journey measured in quiet inches, not loud miles. And every inch matters. Every tiny improvement builds your character, strengthens your resilience, and pushes you closer to the person you want to become. When you stop comparing yourself to others and start comparing yourself to your past self, something beautiful happens. You regain control. You stop feeling behind. You stop feeling defeated. You begin to see your own strengths, your own progress, and your own unique path. You win in life not by being better than someone else, but by being better than the person you used to be. When you commit to improving yourself a little each day, you create a future where success becomes inevitable. Rule 5. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Although this rule is written in the context of parenting, its message goes far beyond raising children. It is about the importance of discipline, boundaries, and responsibility in every area of life. Peterson explains that when parents fail to correct small misbehaviors, those problems grow into bigger patterns that eventually become difficult, painful, or even impossible to manage. Children need guidance. They need structure. They need someone to lovingly teach them how the world works, what is acceptable, and what is not. Without boundaries, a child does not feel free. They feel lost. They become confused, anxious, and unsure of how to behave, not because they are bad, but because no one taught them how to navigate reality. When children act in ways that make others avoid them or dislike them, the consequence is loneliness later in life. So the role of a parent is not to punish, but to prepare, to shape behavior before it becomes harmful. But while this rule speaks to parents, it applies just as powerfully to adults themselves. Every adult carries inner children, habits, impulses, and weaknesses that need guidance, not neglect. If you allow your own bad habits to grow unchecked, they will eventually control your life. Laziness turns into failure. Avoiding responsibility turns into regret. Undisciplined behavior slowly drains your future. Weaknesses that you ignore do not disappear. They get stronger. They become chains around your potential, pulling you away from the life you want to build. This is why discipline is not punishment. It is liberation. It frees you from the chaos that grows when problems are left unsolved. Setting boundaries for yourself, correcting destructive behaviors, and creating routines may feel uncomfortable at first, but they create long-term peace, stability, and success. Discipline is the gift you give to your future self. Whether you are raising a child or shaping your own character, the principle remains the same. Do not tolerate what makes life worse. Encourage what makes life better. If a behavior leads to pain, conflict, or long-term suffering, address it early. If a behavior leads to strength, peace, or progress, nurture it. Life becomes more meaningful when you take responsibility for shaping it. And just like a child grows into a capable adult through honest guidance, you grow into your strongest self when you guide your own actions with wisdom and courage. Rule 6. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. It is easy, almost effortless, to look outward and blame the world for everything that goes wrong. We point fingers at the government, the economy, society, our parents, our circumstances, and even random luck. But this rule reminds us of a truth many people avoid. Before you criticize the world, you must first take responsibility for your own life. This is not about perfection. It is about honesty. It is about acknowledging the chaos within you before trying to fix the chaos around you. When you avoid your own problems, they grow silently, and eventually they shape your life more than anything happening outside. But when you confront them, even in small steps, you regain control. Start with what is directly in front of you. Clean your room, not because it magically solves everything, but because it symbolizes order, clarity, and discipline. When your environment is chaotic, your mind becomes chaotic too. When your surroundings are clean and structured, you feel calmer and more in control. Next, look at your daily routines. Are you sleeping too late? Are you wasting hours scrolling your phone? Are you neglecting things that matter? These tiny patterns create the architecture of your life. Improving them, even slightly, can change the direction of your future. Then, look inward. Face the habits you've been avoiding. Acknowledge the emotional wounds you pretend do not exist. Address the behaviors that sabotage your progress. This is difficult, uncomfortable work, but it is the foundation of real strength. When you confront your pain instead of running from it, you become more resilient. When you stop making excuses and start taking ownership, you gain power. Responsibility is not a burden. It is liberation. It means your life is in your hands, not controlled by external forces. And here's the meaningful part. The moment you begin putting your inner world in order, the world outside starts to make more sense. You complain less. You focus more. You understand what truly matters. You become someone whose words have weight, because they come from a place of self-discipline instead of frustration. When your own life becomes more organized, even in small ways, your ability to contribute positively to the world increases. Change does not start in society. It starts in your home, your habits, your behavior, your mindset. Fix what you can control. Strengthen what you can improve. Bring order to your personal world, and only then will your perspective on the larger world become clearer, more balanced, and more meaningful. Rule 7. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. In every moment of life, you stand at a crossroads between two choices: the easy option that offers quick pleasure and the meaningful option that demands effort. The easy path is tempting. It gives you instant comfort, temporary relief, and quick emotional rewards. It asks nothing from you except your time and your potential. But the truth is, the easy path always leads to regret. It leaves you weaker, emptier, and further from the life you want. Every shortcut you take becomes a debt you must eventually pay. Expedience may feel good in the moment, but it steals from your future. The meaningful path, on the other hand, is rarely comfortable. It asks you for discipline, patience, sacrifice, and responsibility. It requires you to delay pleasure and choose purpose over convenience. Meaning is not the path of least resistance. It is the path of growth. It forces you to confront challenges, to rise above your old limits, to transform yourself. And that is why meaningful things matter. They reshape you from the inside. They build character. They build strength. They build a life you can be proud of. Success, in its truest form, is never the result of shortcuts. It is built on sacrifice, the willingness to give up what feels good now for what matters in the long run. This is the essence of discipline, trading the immediate for the ultimate. If you choose meaning, you may suffer in the present, but you grow. You may struggle now, but you build a foundation for something lasting. Expedience gives you relief. Meaning gives you identity. Expedience distracts you. Meaning focuses you. Expedience fades. Meaning stays. Meaning gives direction to your life. It tells you who you are and why you endure difficult things. It reminds you that the struggle has purpose and the sacrifice has value. When life becomes dark or confusing, meaning becomes the light that guides your next step. It is the voice inside you that says, Keep going. This is worth it. Without meaning, life becomes empty and chaotic. With meaning, even suffering becomes bearable, because it leads somewhere important. So choose meaning, not because it is easy, but because it shapes you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. Choose meaning even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The most meaningful paths in life are the ones that demand the most from you, and in return, give you everything you truly desire: purpose, strength, fulfillment, and a life worth living. Rule 8. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Truth is one of the most powerful forces in a human life, yet it is also one of the most difficult paths to walk. Lies begin small. One excuse here, one false smile there, one story twisted just enough to avoid responsibility. At first, they seem harmless. They even feel useful, like a shortcut to avoid discomfort or conflict. But every lie is a small fracture in the structure of your character. Over time, these fractures expand. They weaken your confidence, blur your identity, and create a life built on illusion rather than strength. Lies always demand more lies, trapping you in a web that becomes harder to escape. When you lie, you are not just deceiving others. You are betraying yourself. You are reshaping your reality into something false, something fragile. You are teaching yourself to hide from your potential, rather than confront the truth of who you are and who you could become. Dishonesty robs you of clarity. You cannot move forward confidently when your life is built on stories that are not real. You cannot grow when you are busy pretending. A lie may protect you from pain in the moment, but it steals your ability to build a future rooted in integrity and inner strength. Truth is not always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it challenges your ego, exposes your weaknesses, or forces you to face consequences you would rather avoid. But truth is also healing. It frees you from the heavy burden of pretending. It strengthens your relationships because people know they can trust you. It sharpens your mind because you learn to face reality directly instead of running from it. And most importantly, it allows you to build a life that is solid, stable, and authentic. A life where you can stand tall because nothing is built on deception. Peterson's rule does not demand perfection. You don't have to be brutally honest every second or reveal everything you feel. The principle is simple. Do not say what you know is false. Do not distort reality just to make life easier. Start by being honest with yourself about your fears, your goals, your mistakes, and your strengths. When you learn to face your own truth, it becomes easier to speak truth into the world. Honesty is not just a moral rule, it is a path to personal freedom. By choosing truth, you choose growth. You choose clarity. You choose a life that is aligned with who you are and who you want to become. Even if the truth is difficult, it is always the right direction. Rule 9. Assume the person you're listening to might know something you don't. Listening is one of the most underrated forms of intelligence. In a world where everyone is talking, posting, arguing, and trying to prove themselves right, the ability to truly listen has become rare, almost a superpower. Most people don't listen to understand. They listen only to respond, to defend their viewpoint, or to win an invisible argument happening inside their mind. But real listening, the kind Peterson talks about, requires humility. It asks you to set aside your ego and accept a profound truth. You do not know everything, and you never will. Every person you meet carries a universe inside them. Their experiences, mistakes, struggles, and victories have shaped them in ways you cannot see. They have walked roads you haven't walked, suffered in ways you haven't suffered, and discovered lessons you haven't yet learned. When you listen deeply, you gain access to that universe. You step into a perspective that expands your own. You learn things that books cannot teach, things that only life can reveal through conversation. Good listening does more than increase your knowledge. It transforms your relationships. People open up when they feel heard. They trust you, connect with you, and respect you. Conversations become meaningful instead of superficial. Conflicts soften because understanding grows. When you listen without judgment, you make the world safer for truth to be spoken. You help others express what they could never say to someone who only pretends to listen. But listening is also an act of self-growth. It challenges your assumptions. It forces you to question the stories you tell yourself. It breaks the walls of your perspective and reminds you that your view of the world is limited. Perhaps the person in front of you has a solution to a problem you've struggled with for years. Perhaps they carry insight that could save you time, energy, or pain. Perhaps their experience reveals that you were wrong, and that realization becomes a turning point in your life. True wisdom begins with humility. You cannot learn if you believe you already know everything. You cannot grow if you refuse to open your mind to other perspectives. Listening is not weakness. It is strength. It is the willingness to expand yourself, to become better, wiser, and more compassionate than you were yesterday. When you assume the person you're listening to might know something you don't, you unlock the door to deeper understanding, and you become a student of life itself. Rule 10. Be precise in your speech. Words are not just sounds. They are tools that build the structure of your reality. The way you speak reflects the way you think, and the way you think shapes the direction of your life. When your words are clear, your mind becomes clear. When you describe your goals, fears, or problems with precision, you give your brain something solid to work with. But when your speech is vague, your world becomes blurry, confusing, and difficult to manage. Precision is not only a communication skill, it is a path to clarity, confidence, and control. Think about how problems grow when we refuse to name them. A feeling of stress might actually be fear of failure. A bad mood could be exhaustion, loneliness, or even anger you haven't acknowledged. A relationship issue might be a specific pattern of miscommunication or resentment. When we avoid being specific, our problems remain shadows, shapeless, mysterious, and overwhelming. But the moment you put your feelings into precise words, you shine a light on those shadows. Suddenly, what felt impossible becomes manageable. What felt confusing begins to make sense. The same is true for goals. Many people say they want success, happiness, or a better life. But these words mean nothing without definition. What kind of success? In what area? By when? How will you measure it? What steps will you take? Without precise goals, your mind cannot create a plan. You end up wandering, not progressing. But when you define your desires clearly, you give yourself a map. You know where you are going and what actions you must take to get there. Precision in speech also strengthens relationships. Arguments often grow not because of big issues, but because of vague communication. One person says, "I'm upset," but doesn't explain why. Another says, you never listen, but cannot describe the specific moment that hurt them. Vague words create emotional fog. Misunderstandings multiply, tension rises, and resentment builds. But when you speak precisely, you create room for real understanding. You express needs clearly. You set boundaries confidently. You avoid unnecessary conflict and replace confusion with connection. Peterson's rule reminds us that clarity is a form of responsibility. It requires honesty, courage, and effort. It forces you to confront reality rather than hide behind generalities. It pushes you to understand yourself deeply so that you can express yourself fully. Precision is not about perfection. It is about truth. It is about respecting your own mind enough to articulate what is real. Being precise in your speech means being precise in your life. It means taking control of your thoughts, naming your fears, defining your dreams, and communicating with intention. When you speak clearly, you think clearly. And when you think clearly, you move through life with purpose instead of confusion. Rule 11. Do not bother children when they are skateboarding. At first glance, this rule seems simple, almost strange. What does skateboarding have to do with life, growth, or wisdom? But like many of Peterson's ideas, the message goes far deeper than the surface. This rule is not really about skateboards. It is about courage, resilience, and the human need to face danger in order to become strong. Watching children skateboarding is watching them test themselves, balancing on a thin board, rolling over uneven ground, risking falls, bruises, and failure. And yet, they keep trying. They fall, they get back up, and they try again. That process, Peterson argues, is essential for becoming a capable adult. Modern society often tries too hard to protect young people. Out of love and fear, adults want to remove risk, eliminate discomfort, and ensure safety at all costs. But overprotection creates fragility. It teaches children that the world is too dangerous and that they are too weak to handle it. When you interrupt them, correct them unnecessarily, or shield them from every challenge, you rob them of the chance to develop confidence. You remove the opportunity for them to discover what they are capable of. Children need to feel the thrill of danger, not recklessly, but responsibly, because that is where courage is born. Strength does not grow in comfort. It grows in the presence of challenges. The process of facing risk teaches something vital: competence. A child learns balance by falling. They learn judgment by misstepping. They learn resilience by getting hurt and recovering. These experiences shape a mindset that says, I can handle life. And that belief becomes the foundation for adulthood. When young people are denied these experiences, they become fearful, anxious, and dependent. They never learn how strong they truly are. This lesson applies just as much to adults as it does to children. Many people avoid challenges, discomfort, or anything that might hurt them. They stay in safe routines, predictable environments, and familiar habits. But safety is not where growth happens. If you never stretch yourself, you remain emotionally and mentally fragile. If you never take risks, applying for a new job, starting a project, ending a toxic relationship, you never discover your potential. Life is dangerous. There is no path without risk. You cannot eliminate uncertainty, failure, or pain. But you can become stronger, more skilled, and more courageous in the face of those realities. That is the real message behind this rule. Do not interfere with the natural process of becoming resilient. Whether you are raising children or shaping your own life, allow room for struggle, for challenge, for risk. That is where courage is born. That is where capability grows. And that is where you discover the power that has been inside you all along. Rule 12. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan, no matter how hard you work, there will always be moments when chaos enters your world without warning. Illness, loss, heartbreak, failure, these things don't ask for permission before they arrive. Peterson's final rule is not about cats. It is about learning how to survive suffering. It is about noticing the small pockets of peace hidden inside even the darkest days. When life feels overwhelming, you can't always change your situation. You can't erase pain or control fate. But you can choose to look for tiny moments that remind you life is still worth living. These moments don't solve your biggest problems, but they give you just enough strength to continue moving forward. When Peterson talks about petting a cat, he means slowing down and appreciating the brief, gentle experiences that bring calm into your life. It might be the warmth of sunlight coming through your window. It might be hearing your favorite song at the perfect moment. It might be a child's laughter, a friend's message, or the comfort of knowing someone cares. These are not grand miracles. They are small, ordinary blessings. But in times of suffering, ordinary blessings become lifelines. They remind you that life is not only hardship. Even in the middle of pain, beauty still exists. Sometimes your cat is an unexpected moment of kindness. A stranger holding the door. Someone asking how you're doing. A genuine smile from someone who doesn't even know your story. Sometimes it is a peaceful walk, where your mind stops spinning for just a minute. Sometimes it is sitting quietly with your thoughts, breathing deeply, and realizing that although life hurts now, the pain will not last forever. And sometimes your cat is simply a small victory, cleaning your room, finishing a task, or making progress on something that felt impossible yesterday. These tiny wins give you a sense of control during moments when everything else feels chaotic. Peterson's message is simple but profound. Suffering is inevitable, but despair is optional. The weight of life may feel heavy, but moments of beauty can lighten the load. When you learn to notice these moments, you become stronger. Not because life becomes easier, but because your heart becomes more resilient. You begin to see that even during the hardest seasons, there are reasons to keep going. So when life overwhelms you, slow down. Look around. Appreciate the small, gentle things that remind you that hope still exists. Pet the metaphorical cat. It won't solve everything, but it will give you the strength you need to take the next step. And sometimes, that is enough. Conclusion. The journey toward a meaningful life. The 12 rules for life are not meant to be followed perfectly, nor are they promises of a life without pain. Instead, they serve as guiding principles, steady anchors in a world filled with uncertainty, doubt, and endless noise. These rules challenge you to stand taller, think deeper, live more honestly, and take responsibility for the direction of your life. They remind you that growth often comes from discomfort. Courage is built through struggle, and meaning emerges when you choose to face life instead of running from it. Every rule carries a simple truth. You have far more strength within you than you realize. As you walk through your journey, you'll discover that a meaningful life is not something handed to you. It is something you build slowly, patiently, intentionally. Some days you will rise with confidence, other days you will stumble. But even on the difficult days, progress is being made. What matters is your willingness to keep going, to take one small step, one small improvement, one small moment of courage. And as you continue, piece by piece, the world becomes less overwhelming. Your purpose becomes clearer. Your heart becomes stronger. This journey is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming better than you were yesterday. Somewhere in the middle of these lessons, somewhere between the challenges and victories, the setbacks and breakthroughs, you will find your own voice, your own direction, your own meaning. And as you continue to grow, remember that you're not alone on this path. Here on Achiefly Audiobooks, our mission is to guide you, inspire you, and walk with you through every transformation. One story, one idea, one principle at a time. Life will always contain chaos, but with the right tools, you can build something powerful and beautiful out of it. One decision, one action, one rule at a time.